I am Aeneas, of whom Virgil sung, forced by fate and haughty Juno's unrelenting hate, expelled and exiled, left my father's shore. I bore long labors, both by sea and by land, and in that Trojan war, all before I won the Latin realm and built a glorious, destined town.
Rome. If any nation deserves the privilege of claiming a divine ancestry, that nation is our own. When we declare that Mars himself was father and first parent of Romulus, the man who founded our city, all the nations of the world might as well accept it as readily as they accept Rome's imperial dominion.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Famous Men of Rome. Please allow me, the legendary hero Aeneas,
And me, the famous historian Livy,
to take you on a journey in 3 parts. We will chart the Roman age of kings,
the glory of the Republic.
and the power of the Western Empire.
Please enjoy the performance. I am the descendant of brave Aeneas, who sailed the great sea in search of a new home, a new Troy, a country to one day rule the world. I founded Rome. My name is Romulus. Welcome one, welcome all. Come to my city for refuge. Be a wanderer, fugitive, or refugee, you shall find a home in this city. Rome is a city worthy of your desires, O admirable Latin race. We will be the forebears of truly honorable, majestic, and brave men. Today you have chosen to pursue greatness, and for that you are truly praiseworthy. The glory of our city will be incomparable to all the others. Today you are laying on the foundations of victory, dignity, peace, and life.
Thank you, great Romulus. We are forever your servants, soldiers, and loyal companions. But tell us, where should we find good wives to marry? None will come to us because we are known as criminals and vagrants. Who on earth will marry us?
What do we need that we cannot steal from our neighbors? We will invite our neighbors to stay by us during festival with games and feasting. At the sound of a horn, every man will take a woman and ride back to Rome.
And this they did, causing King Tatius of the Sabines to make war. But he and Romulus, with the grace of the Sabine women, were able to make peace before much harm was done. Rome prospered, and a senate was formed to govern it. Romulus was the first king of what would become a grand civilization.
Rome became a civilization that not only acted grandly, but looked grand. Many splendid buildings were erected by the great King Tarquin.
I am Tarquin, and to anyone with the name Tarquin, power is the birth of life. To some, our names are no lowman, dangerous to liberty, but I did many great things. You see my racetrack, the Circus Maximus.
After King Tarquin, a man named Servius Tullius ruled Rome with goodness and gentleness. Another man, a son of Tarquin, plotted against Servius Tullius. His name was Tarquin the Proud.
This impostor, Servius Tullius, will not stand in my way any longer. I shall be king over his dead body.
And so Tarquin did as he said. Servius Tullius was killed. Tarquin the Proud became king of Rome. He would be the last king because he was such a cruel tyrant. One of his sons, named Sextus, insulted a young lady of the royal court named Lucretia. She was so ashamed that she plunged a dagger into her heart. At this outrage, a leader rose to defy this tyranny of Sextus and Tarquin the Proud. His name was Junius Brutus.
By this girl's blood, none more chased till a tyrant wronged her.
And by the gods, I swear that with sword and fire, and whatever else can link strength to my arm, I will pursue Lucius Tarquinius the Proud, his wicked wife, and all his children, and never again will let them or any other man be king in Rome.
We will not suffer one man to rule Rome. Down with Tarquin the tyrant. No more kings.
No more kings! No more kings! No more kings!
Junius Brutus was given as splendid a funeral as the early days of the Republic could afford, but an even greater tribute to him was the nation's sorrow, of which the women of Rome mourned him for a year, as a father. It was their special tribute to his fierce championship of a woman's honor.
Thus the age of the Roman kings ended. The people would suffer no single man to rule Rome. Instead, they put their faith in the rule of the Senate. But Rome's ousted King Tarquin would not go down without a fight. Instead, he joined forces with Lars Porsena, king of Clusium, to take back his throne. Porsena and his army marched to Rome and there encountered some difficulty.
The only way for the Etruscans to enter our city is by crossing the Celtician Bridge. Consul, what should we do?
We must cut down the bridge. It is the only way to save our city. As many who can begin dismantling the bridge.
The Etruscans are in sight. We are running out of time.
If only someone can hold them up while we finish tearing down the bridge.
Who could do that? A whole army against one man?
Consul, give me 2 good men, and I will hold the bridge and keep the enemy at bay.
3 men to hold back thousands? We can easily defeat 3 Romans. The city will be ours.
Furious, Titus, the bridge is about to fall. Run back to the other side. I will stay defended.
Bridge is over, Gracious.
He has not taking those craven ranks to see. Not spake to Lords or Sena, to Sextus not spake he. But he saw on Palatinus the white porch of his home, and he spake into the noble river that rolls by the towers of Rome.
O Tiber, father Tiber, to whom the Romans pray. A Roman's life, a Roman arms take thou in charge this day.
So he spake, and speaking sheathed the good sword by his side, and with his harness on his back plunged headlong in the tide.
When I emerged on dry earth, the leaders of Rome were there to greet me, and even Mars Corsinus' prayers for my safety were answered. With shouts and clapping and weeping, I returned to my home through the river gate, borne on the shoulders of the crowd.
Horatius was well rewarded for his bravery and had a statue erected in his honor. Porsena decided to keep his army on the other side of the Tiber. His plan was to besiege Rome, preventing food from being sent in, thus forcing the Romans to surrender. But there was one thing Porsena had not accounted for: Caius Mutius.
I have devised a way to save our city. I am going to march right into the Etruscan camp, find Porsena, and kill him. That should put an end to this siege.
Distribute this money to your men and report back to me.
Oh no, he's killed the secretary.
Who are you and why have you done this?
I am a Roman citizen. I came here to kill you because you are an enemy of Rome. I have failed, but there are others coming who will not fail. Your life will be in constant danger, Lars Porsena, and you will be killed when you least expect it.
I shall burn you to death if you do not at once tell me all the plans of Rome to kill me.
Behold how little we Romans care for pain when it's to defend our country.
I'm amazed this man's heart is fearless and cannot be bound. Set him free at once.
In return for your kindness, I now tell you of my own free will what I would not under threat of punishment. Know that 300 young Roman men have pledged an oath to kill you. I have failed. The lot fell first on me. I have failed, but more will come until Rome is finally free of you.
Porsena was so frightened at these words that he immediately sent messengers to make peace.
Peace did not last. War broke up with the Aequians to the east. The Romans were easily winning. However, in a feigned retreat during one battle, the Aequians lured some Roman horsemen into a narrow ravine. It was a trap. One horseman did manage to escape, to return to Rome to inform the Senate of the dire situation.
We were following the Aequians in pursuit when they led us into a ravine. They barricaded the exits and most of the army was trapped. The Aequians are surrounding Rome's horsemen at the top of the hills. There is little grass for the horses, sparing water, and not much food. If we don't act quickly, they will die.
For a while, the Senate saw little hope, but one senator spoke up.
There's only one man who can save us. Escort Cincinnatus!
And so they did. Cincinnatus shall tell you the rest of the story.
When the senators came to find me, I was plowing my fields. Because Rome needed me, I left my plow and gathered faithful men for my army.
Before the sun set that evening, we marched to the hills where the Romans were trapped. In the quiet stillness of dawn, we formed ranks all around the Aequians. It was now they who were trapped. They fought desperately, but in vain. Rome was victorious again. I chose to spare their lives, but not without them passing under the yoke. The joy of my countrymen was so great, they wanted to make me king. I was crowned with a laurel wreath and paraded into the city, but I knew my role, so I gave up my power and went back to farming.
When the Roman Republic was under a great threat, they appointed a dictator to have supreme power, but only for as long as it took to secure Rome's safety. Our next famous Roman is Camillus. Camillus was a great soldier and was made dictator in a time of great danger, but he ran into trouble on one occasion. Camillus was accused by leaders of being greedy with the spoils of war. Such a crime was very serious and it went to trial. Seeing a trial before the tribunal as a disgrace, he chose a life of exile. As he passed out of Rome's gates, he prayed to God to do something so terrible that the Romans would be forced to call for his return.
My prayer was answered. The Romans were invaded by the Gauls. The Gauls swooped down into Italy, defeating all Rome's armies along the way. Most of the Romans deserted the city, leaving it wide open for the Gauls to pillage. They destroyed most of the city, but could not drive out a small band of Roman senators and fighters from their stronghold in the capital. The people who fled sought me out as I had prayed. They pleaded for me to return and deliver them from this disaster.
I've arrived just in time to keep the Gauls commanding the Senate to pay him gold. This is what I told them. We Romans defend our country not with gold, but with steel. And so it was not gold that saved Rome that day, but the sword of Camillus.
The Roman Republic grew in strength and became engaged with a series of wars with the North African city of Carthage. Rome's greatest threat during these Punic Wars was Hannibal, the great general of Carthage. He traveled thousands of miles through Hispania and over the great Italian Alps. Rome's only hope was the great general Scipio Africanus.
When Carthage sought to conquer Rome a second time, it sent Hannibal across the Alps with his elephants to crush our army. His brother Hasdrubal was the first to see my sword when I repelled him from Italia. Hannibal would also witness its cold gleam when it drove his elephants to madness. I gave this short sword the gladius to pierce the ranks of our enemies, for as long as Rome would wield it.
Romans began to get lazy under the protection their armies provided them. There were even periods of peace with Carthage, but not all Romans trusted their North African rivals.
Delendo est Carthago. My name is Senator Cato, and in my opinion, Carthage must be destroyed. I felt so strongly about the destruction of Carthage that I ended every single speech I gave in the Senate with those very words. Delendo est Carthago. I lived during a time when Romans were losing sight of what really mattered. We were growing fat and lazy. We spent too much money on things we didn't really need, and it was stealing from our strength as a nation. I chose to live a different life. I lived by the old frugality. I ate plain food, drank cheap wine, and had very few servants. I was made censor, and with my newfound power, I fought against frivolity and waste. People do not need to get around in carriages. They can walk. I levied taxes against items Romans held dear, like fancy furniture. And other non-essential items like jewelry. Delendo est Carthago.
The military might of Rome grew, and with it grew power and popularity. Army generals like Julius Caesar and Pompey the Great made alliances to solidify the control over the Republic.
I am the great Julius Caesar. I led armies to conquer Hispania and Gaul and wrote about these wars in a text that would be translated by Latin school students for generations.
The whole of Gaul is divided into 3 parts, one of which the Belgae inhabits.
Stand up against Rome.
The Aquitani another, and the
Pompey was a great leader in my day, and I, the great Julius Caesar, made an alliance with him. But I would share power for only so long. Pompey came from the nobility, the upper class, but I was a man of the people, and they loved me. My greatest ambition was to rule Rome. Only Pompey stood in my way. On one fateful day, my army awaited on the far side of Italy, on the edge of the river Rubicon. Pompey denied me entrance to Rome. Either I'd disband my army and give up my ambition, or I'd defy Pompey and cross the river. I chose to cross the Rubicon. The die had been cast.
Caesar marched into Italy without the slightest challenge. He crossed the Rubicon, violating Roman laws prohibiting a Roman army inside its own borders. Even so, he was celebrated by the people. They took the power of the Senate and gave it to him, and that power went to his head.
All the while, the Senate was planning their revenge.
It must be by his death. And for my part, I know no personal cause to spurn at him. But for the general, he would be crowned. How that might change his nature bears the question, and therefore think him as a serpent's egg, which hatch, but as its kind, grow mischievous and kill him in the shell.
On the Ides of March, Caesar's in the Senate pontificating about his greatness.
So in the world 'tis furnished well with men, and men are flesh and blood and apprehensive. Yet in the number I do know but one, that unassailable holds on his rank, unshaked emotion, and that I am he. Let me a little show it.
O Caesar,
Hence wilt thou lift up Olympus.
great Caesar,
Doth not Brutus bootless kneel?
Speak, hands for me!
Et tu, Brute? Then fall, Caesar.
Peace, freedom, and liberty!
After the assassination of Julius Caesar, there was one who denounced his murders. His name was Mark Antony.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. This deed shall be avenged. My heart is in the coffin there with Caesar, and I must pause till it come back to me. We will not let Caesar's death be in vain. No, I will use it to my advantage. It is Mark Antony who will rule Rome now. Come, let us find the rest of these conspirators. Yes, and bring them to justice.
Like Pompey and Caesar before, Antony made alliances with Caesar's descendant Octavius. But it would not last long.
I am Caius Julius Caesar Octavius, the great-nephew of Julius Caesar. I was destined to be Caesar's heir, but my former ally Mark Antony was not going to stop me. Our fleets were battling off the coast of Actium in Greece. Suddenly, in the heat of battle, Cleopatra, the queen of Egypt, and Antony's companion, suddenly pulled her silver oars to flee. Antony chased after her, disgracefully abandoning his soldiers. I, Octavius, was now without rival. I quickly rose to supreme power as Emperor Caesar Augustus, bringing peace and order. My reign saw the flourishing of the arts contentment among the common people and the birth of Christ, and it was the beginning of a great Roman peace, Pax Romana.
The emperors who succeeded Augustus were powerful and intelligent, but they were only occasionally good. The moral decay of Rome is often typified by the rule of Nero. Under this evil man, the Christian church saw great persecution.
A strange lot, believing in a man named Jesus who died as their Lord. Well, I showed them my lordship. One day, flames went up all over Rome. I could not help being reminded of Troy and its fall. It inspired me to sing and play my harp. Afterwards, I was blamed for starting the fire. So I had the Christians blamed, and they were put to death in many ways. Some thought I was cruel. Some even pitied the Christians. But I did not deserve what happened to me. I had worked so hard to bring beauty and art to Rome, but I was not appreciated. When the conspirators came, I fled and had to fall upon my own sword. What an artist the world lost that day.
Years passed, and Rome found itself being ruled by several so-called emperors who vied for control of the empire. Constantine was one of them. On the day before the Battle of Milvian Bridge, he was praying. God sent Constantine a vision of a cross of light in the heavens at midday with an inscription telling him, "By this sign you shall conquer."
Accordingly, I called on God with earnest prayer and supplications that he would reveal to me who he was and stretch forth his right hand to help me in my present difficulties. And while I was thus praying with fervent entreaty, a most marvelous sign appeared to me from heaven about noon, when the day was already beginning to decline. I saw with my own eyes the trophy of a cross of light in the heavens above the sun, and bearing the inscription, "By this sign you shall conquer." At this sight, I myself was struck with amazement, and my whole army also. They followed me on this expedition and witnessed the miracle.
Constantine made Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire. By then, the empire had been divided between the East and the West, and Constantine moved his empire to the East, to the city that would be named after him, Constantinople. This new division, along with the new official religion, Christianity, did much to benefit the new church in many ways, but it did not prevent the West from being overrun by the Gauls.
Those who worshiped the old pagan gods blamed this new Christian religion for Rome's fall. In North Africa, the Christian bishop Augustine famously responded to this accusation. Was it Christianity's fault that Rome was sacked by the Gauls? No. Rome's own pride and immorality were the source of its trouble. But Christianity offers citizenship in the city of God, where sin is covered by Christ and the pride of man is redeemed by the love of God.
Christianity is the religion worthy of your desires, O admirable Roman race. The
progeny of Junius Brutus and Horatius, of Cato and of Augustus, choose now what you will pursue, that your praise may be not in yourself, but in the true God, in whom is no error. Incomparably more glorious than Rome is that heavenly city in which for victory you have truth, for dignity, holiness, for peace, felicity, for life, eternity.